Imagine spending your life believing that kindness is the key to happiness, success, and strong relationships, only to discover that unchecked kindness can lead to betrayal, manipulation, and even destruction. What if I told you that some of the greatest tragedies in history were not caused by cruelty, but by excessive kindness? That people who were too good, too forgiving, and too generous often met the worst fates? Niccolò Machiavelli, a thinker whose name is often associated with cunning and ruthless politics, offers insights into human nature that go far beyond mere strategy. His writings expose a truth that many choose to ignore. Kindness, when not tempered with wisdom and strength, can be a dangerous weakness. But what if I told you that hidden within his words are powerful lessons on how to be both kind and strong, generous and wise? Today we will explore these ideas and uncover why kindness, if not used correctly, can be more harmful than helpful. Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson will completely change how you view kindness, power, and human nature itself. Let's begin. Since childhood, we are taught that kindness is always the right path. Be generous, be forgiving, put others before yourself. These ideas are drilled into us as the foundation of morality and goodness. And indeed, kindness has the power to heal, unite, and create deep connections. But there's another side to this story, one that is rarely discussed. What happens when kindness is exploited? What happens when being good makes you a target? Machiavelli addresses this dilemma in The Prince, where he poses one of the most provocative questions in history. Is it better to be loved or feared? Most people instinctively respond, loved, of course. But Machiavelli warns that love is fleeting and unreliable. People love based on convenience, on what you provide for them, and on how they feel at any given moment. The same people who love you today may turn against you tomorrow if circumstances change. Fear, however, is more stable. It ensures respect, maintains order, and prevents betrayal. But does this mean that kindness should be abandoned? Absolutely not. Machiavelli does not argue against kindness itself. He argues against blind kindness. Being good without understanding power dynamics is like walking unarmed into a battlefield. The world does not always reward goodness. In fact, it often punishes those who are too generous, too forgiving, or too trusting. History is full of examples of leaders and individuals who suffered because they placed too much faith in kindness. Look at Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest philosopher-emperors of Rome. A man of wisdom, virtue, and compassion, he ruled with justice and sought to be fair in all things. But his greatest mistake was his kindness towards his own son, Commodus. Instead of preparing him to be a strong and disciplined leader, Aurelius indulged him, believing that love and patience would shape him into a good ruler. The result? Commodus became one of Rome's worst emperors, corrupt and reckless, leading the empire into chaos. The kindness of Marcus Aurelius, meant to build a better future, ultimately contributed to Rome's decline. This pattern is not limited to history. It happens in everyday life. Have you ever been too kind to someone, only to realize they took advantage of you? Have you ever forgiven someone repeatedly, hoping they would change, only to be hurt again? Have you ever helped someone, only to see them expect more and more, without gratitude? The truth is, kindness without limits breeds entitlement. When people receive without effort, they stop valuing what is given. Worse, when you finally decide to set boundaries, they react as if you have done something wrong. This is why Machiavelli warns against relying solely on goodness. The world is not structured to reward those who give, without expecting anything in return. If you do not set limits, if you do not balance kindness with strength, you will be used and discarded. But here's the important question. Does this mean you should become cold, calculating, and ruthless? No. The solution is not to abandon kindness, but to apply it with intelligence. Machiavelli was not against morality. He was against naivety. His lessons teach us that kindness must be paired with strategic thinking. It must be given wisely to those who will not exploit it. This brings us to a crucial realization. True kindness is not about always saying yes. It is about knowing when to say yes and when to say no. It is about helping without allowing yourself to be drained. It is about generosity that does not lead to self-destruction. Now, take a moment to reflect. Have there been times in your life when your kindness led to unexpected harm? Have you ever felt that your good intentions were mistaken for weakness? In the next part, we will explore why people instinctively take advantage of kindness and how psychological mechanisms drive this behavior. More importantly, we will discuss how you can protect yourself while still being a good person. Because the truth is, kindness and power are not opposites. They are meant to work together. Think about a time when you showed kindness to someone, expecting nothing in return, only to be met with indifference, or worse, betrayal. Why does this happen? Why do people often take advantage of kindness instead of appreciating it? The answer lies deep within human psychology, in instincts and social behaviors that have existed for centuries. To understand this, we need to explore a fundamental truth. Human beings, by nature, respond to incentives. Whether consciously or unconsciously, people are always assessing their environment, determining what benefits them and what does not. When kindness is given freely, without limits, it can create an illusion of infinite supply. People stop seeing it as something valuable and begin to take it for granted. This psychological phenomenon is known as the law of diminishing returns. In simple terms, the more we receive something without effort, the less we appreciate it. This is why people often value what is difficult to obtain. Scarcity creates desire, and excess creates indifference. Machiavelli understood this well, which is why he advised leaders to be careful about how and when they show generosity. A ruler who is too generous, he warned, would quickly exhaust his resources and lose respect. This applies not only to rulers, but to everyone. If you are constantly giving, whether it is your time, your effort, or your kindness, without setting boundaries, people will begin to expect it. What once seemed like an act of goodwill becomes the bare minimum in their eyes. And when you finally stop, they feel as if something is being taken away from them, even though it was never theirs to demand. Think about friendships where one person always gives more than the other. At first, the generosity is welcomed, but over time, the other person starts to expect it. They stop appreciating the effort because it has become routine. And when the giver finally says no, they are often met with anger, guilt-tripping, or accusations of being selfish. This is not because the person was intentionally cruel. It is simply how human nature works when kindness is not balanced with self-respect. Machiavelli's wisdom teaches us that to be truly effective in life, we must combine kindness with strategy. This means recognizing when kindness is strengthening a relationship and when it is weakening it. It means understanding that generosity should be given to those who appreciate it, not to those who exploit it. A powerful example of this is seen in leadership. Many great leaders throughout history started with good intentions, believing that fairness and generosity would ensure loyalty. Yet, history is filled with stories of rulers who were betrayed by the very people they tried to help. Take Louis XVI of France, a king who wanted to be loved by his people. He sought to rule with compassion, avoiding conflict and making concessions. But in doing so, he projected weakness. Instead of securing loyalty, his kindness made him an easy target. The same crowds that once cheered for him later called for his execution. His failure was not his kindness, it was his inability to balance kindness with the strength necessary to maintain control. So what is the solution? Should we abandon kindness altogether? Of course not, but we must redefine what kindness truly is. Real kindness is not just about being agreeable, generous, or forgiving. It is about knowing when to give and when to withhold. It is about recognizing who deserves your kindness and who only seeks to take advantage of it. This is why boundaries are essential. Boundaries do not mean you stop being kind. They mean you ensure your kindness is respected. When you set limits, you teach others that your kindness is valuable, not something to be used without thought. And here is something crucial to understand. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. The ones who get angry or try to manipulate you were never interested in your well-being. They were interested in what they could get from you. Now I want you to reflect on this. Have there been moments when you felt that setting boundaries was difficult because you feared being seen as unkind? Have you ever hesitated to say no, even when you knew you should? In the next part, we will explore how to apply Machiavelli's wisdom in modern life, how to be both kind and powerful, compassionate yet respected. We will uncover strategies to ensure that your kindness is a strength, not a weakness, and that those around you appreciate rather than exploit it. Because the truth is, kindness is not about being liked by everyone. It is about being valued by the right people. Many people struggle with the idea that kindness and power can coexist. We are often led to believe that being kind means being passive, that showing compassion means allowing others to take advantage of us. But what if true kindness is not about weakness at all? What if the most effective form of kindness is one that is paired with strength? Machiavelli understood this dynamic well. In The Prince, he warns against being overly generous, stating that a ruler who is too giving will soon exhaust his resources and become despised. But does this mean that generosity should be abandoned? No. What Machiavelli suggests is strategic kindness, a form of generosity that is intentional, measured, and given only when it serves a greater purpose. This concept does not apply only to rulers. It is a fundamental principle for anyone who wants to navigate life wisely. To apply this wisdom in daily life, we must first redefine kindness. Kindness is not just about being agreeable or self-sacrificing. It is about knowing when to give and when to withhold, when to trust and when to be cautious. The most powerful individuals are those who understand the balance between benevolence and self-preservation. A prime example of this balance can be seen in business. Leaders who are too lenient often find their generosity exploited. They give second chances repeatedly, allow poor behavior to go unchecked, and hesitate to make difficult decisions out of a desire to be liked. But effective leaders understand that being respected is more important than being liked. They show kindness when it is deserved, but are firm when necessary. This is not cruelty, it is wisdom. Consider the difference between two managers. One is overly generous, always giving employees extra chances, allowing missed deadlines, and avoiding conflict to maintain harmony. The other is fair but firm, rewarding excellence while holding people accountable. Over time, the first manager loses authority, as employees realize there are no consequences for underperformance. The second manager, however, earns respect. Employees may not always like them, but they trust their leadership and value their fairness. This is Machiavellian wisdom in action. Not the absence of kindness, but the presence of discipline alongside it. This principle applies not just in leadership, but in personal relationships as well. Many people find themselves in toxic friendships or one-sided relationships where they are constantly giving but receiving little in return. They believe that if they just give more time, more effort, more understanding, the other person will eventually reciprocate. But this is rarely the case. When kindness is given without limits, it is often mistaken for weakness. The key to avoiding this trap is learning to say no. This is one of the hardest lessons for naturally kind people to accept. Saying no feels like rejection, like letting someone down. But in reality, saying no is an act of self-respect. It establishes boundaries and communicates that your kindness is valuable. Those who truly respect you will honor those boundaries. Those who do not will reveal their true intentions. Machiavelli's teachings remind us that in a world where human nature is complex and often self-serving, we must protect ourselves. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means being strategic with our kindness. It means recognizing when to offer generosity and when to withhold it. But there is one final lesson, the most powerful of all, one that could change how you approach kindness forever. In the next part, we will discuss why the most respected and influential individuals are not those who are simply kind, but those who are kind with wisdom. We will explore the secret to earning both loyalty and respect, how to be compassionate without being exploited, and how to lead with both heart and intelligence. Because the ultimate truth is this: kindness alone is not enough. It must be wielded with intention, or it will be wasted. If there is one lesson that ties everything together, it is this: kindness is most powerful when it is a choice, not an obligation. The moment kindness is expected rather than appreciated, it loses its value. And the moment you feel forced to be kind, even at your own expense, you are no longer being kind, you are being controlled. Machiavelli's wisdom teaches us that true power comes from understanding human nature. And human nature is not as idealistic as we often wish it to be. People respond to incentives, to boundaries, and to perceived strength. If you allow kindness to be mistaken for weakness, you invite exploitation. But if your kindness comes with clear expectations, with the ability to say no, and with the strength to act when necessary, it becomes a force that commands respect. This is why the most influential people in history were not those who gave endlessly, but those who gave strategically. They understood when to be generous and when to be firm, when to forgive and when to walk away. They did not let their kindness become a liability. Instead, they used it as a tool for building meaningful connections, ones based on mutual respect rather than blind generosity. Think about figures like Nelson Mandela. He was known for his incredible compassion, yet he was not passive. He did not allow his kindness to be manipulated. He extended forgiveness to those who had once oppressed him, but only after ensuring that justice and accountability were established. His kindness had strength behind it, and that is what made it powerful. On the other hand, history is filled with examples of individuals who were too kind for their own good, who trusted too easily, forgave too often, and sacrificed too much, only to be left with nothing in return. These stories serve as warnings, reminders that kindness without awareness can be dangerous. So how can we apply this in our own lives? The answer is simple but profound. Treat kindness as a privilege, not as a duty. Give it to those who earn it, not to those who expect it. Be generous but not at the cost of your own well-being. Set boundaries, and do not be afraid to enforce them. Learn to say no without guilt. Understand that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to walk away from those who refuse to respect you. This is the balance Machiavelli speaks of. He does not tell us to be unkind. He tells us to be wise. He does not ask us to be feared at all costs. He simply warns us that love without strength is fleeting. The key is to master both. Now take a moment to reflect. How have you been approaching kindness in your life? Have you been giving it away too easily? Have you allowed it to be mistaken for weakness? Or have you learned to wield it with wisdom, ensuring that your kindness is both appreciated and respected? The truth is, the world does not reward those who are simply kind. It rewards those who know how to be kind and strong. It honors those who understand that generosity must be backed by self-respect. It values those who recognize that true kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It is about offering compassion where it is deserved and standing firm where it is not. So, as you move forward, remember this: kindness is not about avoiding conflict. It is not about making yourself smaller to keep others comfortable. It is not about endlessly giving while receiving nothing in return. True kindness, the kind that earns respect, builds strong relationships, and creates lasting impact, is the kind that is given with both heart and wisdom. And that is the dark side of kindness. It is not that kindness is wrong or dangerous. It is that when it is not paired with strength, it becomes powerless. But when you learn to balance kindness with intelligence, with self-respect, and with the ability to stand your ground, you do not just become a kind person, you become an influential one. A person whose kindness carries weight, a person whose generosity is never mistaken for weakness, a person who is not just loved, but respected. Thanks for looking.